Hi everyone, I'm K.A. Will.
And I'm Gabby.
And welcome to another episode of Marriage Journey. We want to welcome our culture family out there, and you know why we call you culture family? Because we have come up with this idea. We realized it even before we got married, that you have to create your own culture in your household. It's not the culture of your parents, even though that may affect it or have some influence. It's not the culture of what we see on TV, not the culture of our friends, but you create the culture in your household, the culture in your marriage, how you raise your children, the decisions that you make. You cultivate that, you feed it, you water it. It is up to you to create that own culture. But we also realize in this marriage journey that no two marriages are alike.
But we have some parallels, so hopefully as we share our experience, you guys can see some parallels and get some insight and maybe some inspiration.
Yeah, so this episode is going to be kind of interesting because it actually stemmed from our last episode where we talked about engaging each other. If you haven't seen that episode, definitely check it out. It is very important for you to engage each other as a couple in marriage every day, every moment. But out of that, we realized this episode, we're going to talk about the 5 love languages.
Right. Yeah, specifically our love languages, and that definitely impacts how we engage with each other.
Right. That's what we realized. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
So really quickly, before we get into our personal love languages, just going to list off the 5 that are out there. There's words of affirmation, gifts, physical touch, quality time, and I feel like what's the 5th one? Words of
Acts of service.
Acts of service. Wow, how did I forget that?
Yeah.
So yeah, quality time, acts of service, gifts, physical touch, and words of affirmation.
Yes.
All right, so those are the 5 love languages. So out of those 5, it is said that you usually have one primary love language, and some people are what they call bilingual. Some people have a close second one. And what are love languages? So love languages are basically how you express and how you receive love. All right, so that's what it means. When you hear somebody say the 5 love languages, they're talking about a love language is how you express and how you receive love personally.
And I just want to say this was by Dr. Gary Chapman, has a book out there,
yes.
So check it out for sure.
Yes, and years ago he had a video actually too, a DVD that he did on the 5 love languages. So that's Dr. Gary Chapman.
Yeah.
All right, so check out that book. So with that being said, what is your primary love language?
For a long time, I thought it was quality of time. And I realized how frustrated I was getting, not with, so much quality time, but I was like, I didn't know something was missing. I just realized I was getting frustrated, or my expectations weren't being met specifically with words. And I was like, this words of affirmation can't be my love language. I don't need nobody to tell me nothing. And that's all denial. It went deep in my soul. Yes, please tell me you love me and I'm beautiful. Tell me you like my jokes. So when we did the test, I was like, dang it. but yeah, again, age difference. It took me a while. Kareem probably knew his early on, but it wasn't something that I thought that was important to know. Just do what I say or how I want him, then we'll be fine. So when we did that, it was words of affirmation is my primary, and I can see why, because I'm very particular with words. I try to convey the right words of what I'm thinking, and I expect other people to do the same. So it makes me look like I'm naive, but what words you say, I take in and accept and say, all right, this is what you meant. And that might not be true. So that gets us some friction, because I'm like, well, you said these words.
And you interpreted it this way.
No, you said these words. This is the one and only interpretation that anyone in the world would conclude.
Yeah, this is what I meant.
Yes. So words of affirmation that I am, yes, particular about words. And one thing I was reading, they said for if your spouse likes, if their primary love language is words of affirmation, that you would say not just I love you, but why you love them. And I just reading that right before this video, I was like, I do that a lot. It's like, oh, I appreciate all you did today. What did I do today? What did you like that I did? Or, oh, I love you. Why do you love me? Even though I don't.
Or when
You
I
don't have to roll
say,
your eyes, though.
or when I say I love you, really? I'm thinking to myself,
Look.
what?
I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? Explain everything. Oh,
Lord.
this. Yes, makes sense. Good.
Okay.
So yes, my love language is my primary words of affirmation, and then the second is definitely quality of time. Like in the last episode, I told you guys that the way that I enjoy one of the ways I enjoy quality time is budget meeting, where we just stop. We have this 2-hour session of just us trying to hash things out, trying to get things done. Oh yeah, and back to the words of affirmation, or I just think words, engaging in words or engaging in verbally. Kareem would say that I like to argue, and I don't think it's that. I think I like to engage whether it's heated or not. I think it's important to hash out ideas, to be able to lay things out. It's like, oh, you think this? Well, here's my rebuttal. What do you think about this? He is not for the back and forth, as we've said previously. He's not really much of a talker. But me, I'm like, all right, you think this? You think that? Okay, well, I think that's wrong, or I think you should change it, or this is what I disagree with. What do you think? Do you understand my point? Do I understand your point? I can go on. Me and my sister do that so well, and we be cussing each other out, and it's fun. But I can't do that with this one, because that's not even his fifth love language. It's like not even a part of it.
Oh man.
So that's me.
So yeah, my primary love language would be physical touch. Even like you said, a good example, the last episode we did on engaging each other. For me, just walking by her and rubbing her, touching her, or a hug or a simple kiss, rubbing each other like, hey, are you feeling okay? What's going on with you? That to me is like the greatest love language. Actually, I said it wrong.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Scratch that. Physical touch is my. Now you're making me wonder. So I'm the bilingual one. I'm the bilingual person. So there was a time where, and we talked about it before too, acts of service actually could be my primary love language. And the reason for the back and forth on that is because I realize for me, it's like when people can say they love you all they want. They can say, oh, I'll do this for you, or oh, I'm here for you, or oh, I like you this much, or talk, hang out. And I've realized, for me, I'm the type of person that think talk is cheap. Because people can say whatever they want, the first thing that pop out of their head. But your actions, to me, your actions don't lie. So that is why, for me, acts of service is really, really important. And I think it's kind of ingrained in me. Is really, talking about our background as far as Caribbean people, West Indian people are concerned. We're all about getting it done, in my opinion. So that's how I am. I'm about, hey, how can we get this done? And that's probably one of the reasons, like Gabby said, when she comes to me and we're engaging in a conversation and she wants to go back and forth because her love language is words of affirmation. She likes words. For me, I'm like, let's get to the point. Let's get to the point of this conversation. I don't need the whole back and forth, back and forth. Especially when, to me, it's not going anywhere.
There's a point. We'll make it there eventually.
Right. But to me, it's like, we could have been there. So it's funny when you think about it. But it's important. Let me say this before I forget. It's important to know each other's love languages because, like Gabby said earlier, we realized that's where things were causing some friction for us.
Right.
She was speaking one language, I was speaking a totally different language, and we're missing each other.
Right.
We're either butting heads or missing each other.
And then expectations aren't met.
Right.
So
Because you expect, because you're in love with this person, they're in love with you, that they get you.
right.
You know what I mean? Or they know how to reach you and make you feel loved. But if you don't know each other's love languages, again, for me, like, you could be talking to your blue in the face, and for Gabby, you can do whatever. This is very funny. I could be doing stuff for Gabby and wondering why I'm not getting a certain response. It's just not her love language.
Right. So yeah.
Acts of service is not her thing. So I could be doing stuff around the house because I'm a house mouse. Like, I love being home. And I'm doing stuff around the house. To me, there's always stuff you can get done around the house. And
He's the
no
one.
response from Gabby.
You can never be bored.
Yeah,
There's
I'm
no
never
such
bored.
thing as bored.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm bored. No.
Like, when I hear that, I'm just like, really? Like, how do people get bored?
So some of the conflict. So yes, Kareem would do stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, you did.
That's basically the
you washed the
response.
dishes. Okay, I could have done that. Right? Like, that's what I'm thinking in my mind. It's like, okay, you did it, or this is
So
part
why
of
didn't you? That's what I'm thinking. In my
this is
response.
part of our duties. And I'm over here to try and talk to him, like we talked about in prior episodes about when I first come home. Hey, how are you? Oh, let me tell you about my day. And he's like, back up. In a nice way, or just not talking at all.
Mercy.
Ooh, yeah, like not talking. It's under my skin.
I
You're
just
like,
realized
you're
why.
thinking best it's not to talk or to ignore, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll keep talking, and you're gonna have to choose to say something. Next words won't be nice, but you're gonna say something. You're gonna engage me.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, something else I realized, and I think, well, I know Dr. Chapman, he mentions this.
Mhm.
So just because, so there's two parts to love languages.
Okay.
Again, and I mentioned it earlier, how you express love and how you receive love. So just because, and I think this is why I got confused or why I couldn't place what was my primary, just because physical touch is the way I receive love, it doesn't, what am I trying to say? Let's use acts of service, that's better.
Okay.
Just because acts of service is the way I receive love doesn't mean it's the way I express love. Or vice versa. Just because physical touch is the way I receive love doesn't mean it's the way I express love. So I can explain. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
So you could be hugging me or giving me a kiss or giving me a massage, and I'm loving it, and I receive that.
Right.
But for me, it could be that I express love by acts of service,
Okay.
like cleaning up around the house, washing the dishes, taking out the trash. So that's the two sides. There's expressing and receiving, and like I said, those can be intermixed. Definitely.
Yeah.
But there's two different parts. So for you got something?
Yeah, I've actually found the opposite, that usually you express the way that you want to receive it. Like you
No, some
love
people, that's what I was saying.
you
Yeah,
love
some
other
people,
the way that you want to be loved, so you express that love because that's how you would love to receive it.
yes. I'm not saying no, but I'm just saying it's also possible. There's always two sides of it where with certain people you realize expressing it is not necessarily the way you receive it,
Right.
or receiving it is not necessarily the way you express it.
Okay.
And that's why you have your primary and your secondary sometimes love language. Like for you, if I use you as an example, the way you receive love
Mm-hmm.
is words of affirmation.
Okay.
But it could be that the way you express love is quality time. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's just an example. I'm not saying that's who you are, but
Right.
I'm just showing because of those top two love languages we have, and the fact that receiving and giving can be different. And depending on your mood, it could be depending on your mood, how your
Right.
day went.
Right.
And I've actually seen that. You'll realize, oh, you're expressing this type of love language this day,
Mm-hmm.
but then next week you're expressing it, a different way.
Yep.
Yeah. So I just realized that.
So yeah, so I found that when we, as we're trying to pay attention to each other and expressing love the way that the other person wants to receive it, things go a little bit better, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I made the fatal mistake of. So I forget what we were talking about, and it had something to do about following through on your words, right? Or I said, okay, here it is. So I was overwhelmed because there were a lot of things that I had to do, but I'm like, I am tired. I work hard all the time. I want my peace and quiet. I don't want to do anything. And so, for some reason, we'll call it the Holy Ghost. I think it's a fatal error.
This one.
I made a fatal error and said, "Hey, Kareem, I want you to be honest about a potential flaw, or do you think I have this flaw where I say I'm going to do something and I don't follow through? And I want you to be honest. Why would I ever ask that question? I don't know." So I caught the Holy Ghost that day, and then he says yes, and I was like, I took some time. I was like, all right, is this a question that I really want to know the answer to?
Mm.
Am I going to do something with this answer? Or should I just leave it alone? And again, something beyond me. I wasn't in that present moment. I was in the other room. But my body went to go back to my mouth. Form the words. What do you mean? You can give an example, safe space. And your boy just shooting me up, right? But just now I was reading things to avoid with people whose primary love language is acts of service, is to give empty promises, to say that you're going to do something, you don't do it, and to place other things in higher priority than what they've asked you to do.
Mercy.
I didn't know this
Wow.
until literally just now. And so
Hence the importance of knowing your loved ones.
right, not just
Love
what
language.
not just what to do, but also what to avoid. That's something that
Yeah.
literally just learned before doing this video. Is like things to avoid.
Mm.
Things to avoid, or what things they would find hurtful.
Right. And again, the whole purpose of the 5 languages, 5 love languages, this video, is knowing how to engage each other, speaking, because it takes effort. It definitely takes effort. If your spouse doesn't have the same love language as you, now you have to come out of yourself and express it the way they receive it.
Right.
Express their love language.
Right.
Because ultimately, you're not loving them the best way that you can. You're not loving them at your best if you're not speaking their love language. It makes you, that in and of itself shows how much you care about another person, because if you know it's not natural for you to act a certain way, to talk about certain things, to be touchy-feely, to give gifts, to spend a lot of time, quality time with people, if that's not you, but yet you're making the effort to do that, that in and of itself is love.
Sacrifice.
Yep, that sacrifice. Because now the other person knows, if they're aware, the other person knows, man, this is not really their thing, but they're taking the time and the effort to do this for me.
To say I'm worth it.
Yep, worth
I'm
going
worth
through
changing. Yep, I'm worth
Man,
you changing your habits or accommodating for. I don't know if accommodation is the right word, but
Mhm.
accommodating for me and my needs and my wants. So
yeah,
that's it. Marriage journey in
a nutshell.
man.
Making you priority to the point where you are expressing love the way that they would receive it. Yeah. So that's what
I'll do better.
the 5 love languages. Me too.
I'll try to do better for sure.
Yeah, that's what the 5 love languages are about. Knowing how to engage each other, but knowing how to be intimate. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you know, oh, this is what turns on my spouse, then you can have better intimacy.
Budget meeting?
So it really helps the health and the longevity and the communication of your marriage. So yeah, that's all I got.
Great episode.
Man, I hope you guys enjoyed this. We enjoy it.
Yep. Share if you have any surprises of what your love language is, and how you're how you express it, how you receive it, what you're doing for your spouse. We would love to know.
Yeah, man. Leave some comments. Share this video with someone you think who needs it or who would enjoy it. Follow us, subscribe. We really appreciate you guys as our culture family. Again, making your own culture in your household. We appreciate you guys. Talk to you later.